Hello, Lisa here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a requested walkthrough of the Wild Child Tarot and the Wild Child Oracle cards. These are both by the same artist, Nawan Junhasiri, the same creator who did the Healing Waves Tarot. The Healing Waves Tarot was the first deck by this creator that I know of, and this deck is currently out of print, but let me just show you some cards really quick. So this was a watercolor deck that was created with watercolors that had been activated by ocean water. Really, really lovely. It's my favorite, like, watery, oceany, beachy deck. I love this so much. Really lovely production quality. This was, I believe, an Indiegogo campaign, and really pleased that I have this. Now, a lot of people missed out on this, but now the creator has come out with the Wild Child Tarot and Oracle. Now, one of these is almost out of stock. I don't know which one. I don't want to encourage FOMO. I would encourage you that if either look like they're out of stock at the time this video goes up, just reach out to the creator and ask, or reach out to Tavada, which is the site that carries these two decks, and ask them if there's any plans to restock. But with that said, I showed these both in a recent deck roundup, and it was requested that I walk through them. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start out with the Wild Child Tarot. So let's get into that. Oh, so same, almost, I think it's actually the same, almost the same height. It looks like actually the Healing Waves was a little bit smaller. It could be that the Healing Waves didn't have a guidebook, and I think the Wild Child Tarot might have a guidebook. Let's just check. Nope, there's no guidebook. So let's see, because I think the cardstock is probably a little thicker. It's funny because it didn't, yeah, it must be. Oh yeah, look at that. So this is the Healing Waves Tarot, and this is the Wild Child Tarot. So there's definitely a cardstock thickness difference, but texturally they feel the same. And this does feel a little bit stiffer, but it's not a huge difference, actually. They both feel nicely flexible, but I would say the Healing Waves is more flexible than the Wild Child Tarot. So if you have touched or have the Healing Waves Tarot, just so you know, that's what that feels like. These are edged in this really lovely brown color that matches the backs. It's a really nice combination. No guidebook, as I said. These are, I think, just intended to be read as a Rider-Waite Smith. It could be, they sent me some information, and I apologize because I don't recall there being anything about a guidebook. There could be an online thing. I honestly don't remember. But just for disclosure, both of these were sent to me by the creator. I actually thought they were just sending me, I think it was the Wild Child Oracle. And then when this showed up, it had the other deck as well, which was an unexpected surprise. And I'm really pleased to be able to share both with you guys. Okay. So this is very much grounded, I would say, in earth. So whereas Healing Waves obviously is grounded in the world of water, this feels very earthy in general, more land-based. So we begin with the Fool. I love when we have a Fool card where we have a little bird jumping out of the nest or jumping off the branch to fly for the first time. I feel like that's exactly the energy of the Fool, so I am here for it. Our Magician is a crow who is literally holding a lit wand. I love this actually because we have a bit of that. It's not quite in the right side being that we usually have that above and below, like as above so below. So this kind of angling is nice. I would have preferred it on this side. It's a thing. It's a thing. But we have the 4 suit symbols. I'm assuming down here we have a shell with a pearl in it, a piece of what looks like a branch, or could be a wand. We have a little stone and a feather. So we have the 4 suit symbols available. Look at this owl high priestess. She is beautiful. This cow as an empress, I think, is fantastic. I love that she has a little crown of flowers, and I really love this soft watercolor style. And of course, we have our ram for the emperor, and there's even a little lizard down here with a little bit of that fire sign energy, which I really appreciate. This is really cool with the curved horns. Oh, I love this like wise elephant looking right out of the card for the Hierophant. We get that wisdom. The Lovers as flamingos. This is fantastic, partly because it makes me think of Alice in Wonderland and the way that the flamingos in, I have the Baba Studios Alice Tarot, and they have a lover's card that's kind of like that. The Chariot, 2 horses running down the beach. This is so sweet, and this is what, of course, we see on the cover of the box. This embrace the wild and the vulnerability here. I love that she's naked here, or at least topless. I like that idea of sort of being so vulnerable, and the claws here are padded, and it's just this sweet, harmonious moment between the wild and the vulnerable. Baboon, I think, for the hermit. Again, y'all, we've talked about my animal identification skills being terrible, but there we have it. I think that's a really sweet hermit. He looks like he's meditating. I really like this Justice card because it really speaks to its balance doesn't always look the same, right? Justice, consequences, action, consequence, it doesn't always look the same. In this case, you have this really like weighted side and then this feather light side, but they're being weighed equally. I don't know. I think that's interesting. It wouldn't necessarily be my first pick to illustrate a Justice card, but it works. The Wheel of Fortune. This is kind of blah to me. I love the rainbow. I mean, it's pretty, don't get me wrong. And it speaks sort of to cycles, but I don't know. Do you have thoughts on the Wheel of Fortune? Let me know down below. The Hanged Man. We have the Bat. Always good for a different perspective. I love that the Death card is the butterfly literally emerging from the cocoon. We really get that sense of the caterpillar self has died to allow the butterfly self to emerge. Really powerful. This does have a bit of that soft touch, but it feels like, I don't know if you can tell by how the cards move, but it's not as sticky as some soft touch is. Temperance, is this, oh gosh, a crane? Question mark? We get this very even balance between earth and sky here, and it's occupying both spaces. I think that's the point here. Not a fan of this particular devil card. We have a Black Widow, and it looks like these are also spiders, which is very interesting. It's like a big spider has caught little spiders. I don't know how I feel about that. Do Black Widows eat little spiders? I don't know. Like, also, I guess it's the idea that they're kind of like subjugating themselves to this bigger, mightier spider to some degree. I'm not a huge fan of creepy spiders in my tarot, but there you go. The Tower. Oh, the Sweet Fox has been like sort of knocked down and off the structure, the cliffside here. This is lovely. I love the star, this figure being in the water. That's really pretty. The Moon. So we're very much in nature. I feel like we're kind of kept in that world. We're not pulled out. There's not as many people. Here we have a kid on the back of the horse, hair streaming out behind them. I like that. Lots of sunflowers. Judgment. Interesting with Judgment. I don't know how I feel about this because there's the fishies down here. There's a seagull above, but the seagull looks like it's diving. Is it diving for the fish? Because that's not what's happening in Judgment. Like, compositionally, this reminds me of Judgment, but I feel like the fish should be wanting to, like, the way this is typically depicted is we see somebody sort of leveling up or stepping up into a higher plane or being raised up in some way, but the fish can't come out of the sea. And if the seagull's diving for the fish, I don't think that's good for the fish. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on the Judgment card? Let me know down below. I have mixed feelings. And the World, we have the Lemniscate snake eating its own tail. That definitely works. I almost missed the circle of it, though, if that makes sense. But then it might look too much like the wheel card. The Ace of Water. Love the overflowing stream here and the little birdie that gets to bathe in it. I think that's really sweet. Oh, okay, so we're doing all the aces. I see, okay. So the Ace of Water. The Ace of Earth is the rosebud just closed up tight. I think that really works well for the Ace of Earth. Ace of Air is the little bird breaking out of the shell. I like this because I think of the Ace of Air as a card about like new insights and new understandings. And of course, this little bird breaking out of its shell is in the process of getting that the world is going to look very different to them now, which is, it works. And then the Ace of Fire, I like how how our character here is like staring into the flame, kind of enchanted by it or inspired by it. This is very similar in feel to the Lovers card, and I wish the two felt a little more different than this, to be honest. Where is that? There we go. Like, it's kind of got the same vibes. There's nothing really separating these two in feeling, and for me, these two cards are very, very different. The two, and I think swans also mate for life, so the longevity of it, I don't know if flamingos do, but there's not really that. If anything, I feel like the swans should be here to show that mating for life aspect if flamingos don't. Because I feel like you could draw these and either they feel the same, you know? So that's a little disappointing. I would have preferred to see something a little bit different here. the Two of Earth, kind of maybe choosing which, are those tomatoes or persimmons or something to go after. That's kind of playful and cute. So far, I feel as though, like first impressions, I feel as though this is a pretty deck, but it's not giving me as much of the substance as I was maybe hoping for, at least on some of the cards so far. It feels a little bit, I don't want to use the term like phoned in, but that's the word I just said. It feels like the composition of the card is understood, but maybe we're missing some of that deeper layer a little bit in some of these. So the Two of Air, this works. We've got the fox blindfolded and we've got the two different crows. So you get the idea that maybe he doesn't know which to listen to, like two different voices. So I could really work with that intuitively. The Two of Fire, I like this. The cheetah looking out over their sort of territory or domain between the two wands, that works. And this is also great. The Three of Water, that sort of playful, exuberant energy. And this works great because ants do collaborate. They do work together. So the meaning is here. So maybe I'm being too harsh. I just feel like a few of these, I'm like, I'm not sure. Like some of them, I should maybe make some piles. Let me make some piles real quick of ones that I think worked really well. Yeah, see, the first bunch did. I mean, that's okay. That works well. That works great. I don't know enough about baboons, but that still works great. I think this one's a maybe for me. That's a no. It's definitely a yes. This one's a eh. There's a few that I'm kind of meh on. I'm going to give the Lovers, like that's fine, but I'm going to put these in the nose, I think. I'm going to put the Spider in the no just because I'm not sure about the meaning. I should put it in the yes because it's still like that trapped, caught energy. That works, that works, that works. So maybe it's just like this one, that works, that works, that works, that works. This one was a no. That was kind of a no. That one works. Yeah, so it's actually better than I thought. Okay, we're just going to keep up with piles over here. So I'm going to, I'll update you at the end here. I want to be very like thorough in how I look at this because I know this deck is not inexpensive. So I really like the ants though for the Three of Earth. The Three of Air, I actually really like this. I like that there's the thorny barbed thing. It's still like the same kind of Three of Swords we usually see, but I like that there's this idea that we're expanding and we're growing, but it's painful. I almost feel like the thorns could be bursting out of the heart and kind of like growing out of, like we're having this growth out of difficulty, out of maybe some discomfort. So I actually really like that. It feels a little bit more thought out, or maybe I'm just seeing more in it than I typically see in a Three of Swords. Three of Fire. This is interesting. I don't know that I'm getting that sense of either embarking on a journey, which is what I typically look to the Three of Wands for, or that idea of like getting messages back from spirit or like waiting for our ships to come in. I don't know. There's something missing there. The Four of Water. This is cute. We got the frog looking at the three lotus flowers missing that are kind of closed, missing the one that's actually open. I really like that. Oh my gosh. The squirrel with nuts. Absolutely fantastic for the four. And the sleepy koala amidst these like thorny branches actually works really super well. And the bunnies, that works really good. Okay, I'm pretty pleased with a lot of this. Oh, she's clearly sad in the Five of Water. This works really well. She's crying over the beached fish, but there's two fish that are completely fine behind her. This is really sweet. It almost feels like a mermaid is mourning the loss of some of the sea life that has been affected. That's really quite powerful. I like that a lot. Oh, man. Oh no. Oh, this is so sad. This makes me, I want to see some sign of maybe there's a cave. Like it's like this sweet little fawn is, oh my God, I could cry, is like looking for shelter and there's none because the trees have all been cut down. This is devastating. Oh my God, this is so sad. But the thing I look for in my Five of Pentacles or my Five of Earth is a hint that there is comfort, safety, help nearby, and we don't get that help here, but this is really quite potent for that feeling of like looking for that security and not finding it. I think it's actually really well done. I just miss the hope, the little artistic hope in the card. That's what I would like to see, but this is definitely still very, obviously it's good. It got an emotional response from me, so I'm gonna definitely put that in the good pile. Five of Air, we have crows going after each other. This almost feels more Five of Onesie to me. Let's see what the differences are here. Okay. So this is more like big cats fighting it out, more competition feeling, whereas this is like, I don't know. These feel kind of the same, to be honest. You know what I need to do is I think I need to put the Lovers card and the Two of Cups together in my, like, I feel like one of them needed to do something different, you know? Here's my Lovers card. I'm going to put that and the Two of Cups together. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do because we don't care if they get out of order. And then this is another one where, like the Lovers and the Two of Cups, it's like one of the two of these needed to do something different. So I'm going to put those in their own little pile. Okay. Six of Water. We have some bunnies. It looks like there's some maybe melting snow. I mean, there's 6 bunnies. Like, it's fine, but I keep feeling like there's 2 cards stuck together, probably because I'm used to the healing waves being a little thinner. This isn't giving me enough, so I'm going to put that in the no pile. Oh, see, I'm pretty sure they're either oranges or like persimmons. Now, this is interesting because, again, this looks like the Four of Earth. Like she's clinging on to all of her stuff. Even though the squirrel's reaching up, she's not actually in the process of handing it anything. So these two seem to hold the same kind of energy. Yeah. The Six of Air kind of moving on. That could be better. The Six of Fire. Oh, I like the success here. That's lovely. I like that one. Ooh, the Seven of Water. Like, again, okay. So it doesn't feel like this dude's choosing any of these because, of course, the planets are just in the sky, right? So you're not really choosing them. Yeah. Seven of Earth. I like this. Seeing if the fruit is ripe yet. That really works. Or if we've planted and watered it well enough. I do really like these fruits, these oranges or persimmons or whatever. They must be oranges, right? Right. I really like that symbol for the Earth suit, though. The Seven of Air. We like the fox, just being all crafty. What is happening? It's a porcupine and he's all spiked and fluffed up. That works. Then we have our Eight of Water. This really works. Very classic Rider-Waite-Smith. Our Eight of Earth also really works with bees. Eight of Air. I'd like to see some sign that the eagle could easily free itself, but it still works. Eight of Fire. I like shooting stars. I mean, the Eight of Fire or Eight of Wands is another one of those cards like the Three of Swords that often kind of just, it's all kind of the same. But I really love this image, and I like the shooting stars as opposed to the shooting wands. It's a neat perspective. I enjoy this Nine of Water. This looks like a mermaid who's like in her element. She's just really content, surrounded by fish. I like that. Love the peacock for Nine of Earth. I think that's fantastic. And I don't know what creature that is, but I'm thinking, I know by the toes. I can't remember. I just realized I'm not getting anything I would normally get from this card, like fear, anxiety, worry, stress, being kept up at night. Like, maybe it's because I don't know what the animal is, but I'm not getting anything from that one. Nine of Fire. I like this because it's like you're on the last bit of the climb and you're like so tired and it's so hard and it's so steep, but you're still going at it, right? Like, so that works, I think, really well. That's a sweet Ten of Water with the bunny family. Ten of Earth. See, again, here's two. These really are identical. It's just that this is a bear family and this is a bunny family. But what we really want to see is kind of that like happy family energy versus like legacy and like having a lot of resources. I mean, we kind of have the resources in the sake of the fruit, but like visually these two feel very similar. And then we have the Ten of Air. I feel like we could do without the dead creature, but this is so common. This is exactly how this card is typically illustrated, so I'm not going to fault it for that. That's like what we'd expect to see. Love the donkey with the Ten of Wands. I love it because donkeys we know can carry a very heavy load, even when they're very burdened by their load. So that really works. I love a narwhal for the Page of Water. Love that card. I love the Curious Kitten for the Page of Earth. A macaw for the Page of Air. I don't know much about the personality, but I do know that parrots tend to be really curious creatures. This really works for me. And then for the Page of Fire, we have our red panda being all adventurous and like going after the fire. The Knight of Water. Oh, this is interesting. So I'm actually going to put this in the no pile. I'll try to explain it, but basically I think that these two should be together seeking something, but instead it feels like they've already found it. And I feel like the knights should be on a quest. Like, as you can see here with the Knight of Earth, he's headed somewhere. He or she is headed somewhere, right? So there's this idea that like they're going in a direction, But here they seem very static and still. This almost could be a Two of Cups card, for example. So yeah, I'm going to put this one in the no pile, but this works. The Knight of Earth works. Love the Knight of Air. I love the movement, and I love the Knight of Fire. So I feel like these nailed the movement for sure. These three really nailed it. And I love that the Knight of Water is in the water. I just feel like these two should be facing the same direction going after something, which is missing here. The Queen of Water. Oh, I love them. I love them. They're so sweet. Okay. Those are belugas, right? Somebody? I'm pretty sure those are belugas. I love that. I love the nurturing energy. See, and again, okay, I know I'm sounding maybe a little bit critical, but I feel like this is earthy mothering and this is watery mothering. So elementally, it works, except for then when you get to the Queen of Air, there's no baby. And the Queen of Fire, there's no baby, right? So we get the sass of the black cat energy for the Queen of Fire, and we get this sort of like wisdom energy from the Queen of Air. But then when we get to these two, we're just getting mothering energy in general, but there's nothing to set them apart other than their element, right? Like it works. I can pull this and know what I'm looking at. But I would have liked to see some indication that she's providing for material comfort in a way. I mean, I suppose she's providing some warmth here, but there's like, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking for that differentiating factor. So I really like the Queen of Water here, but well, no, I'm going to put this in the pair where they're kind of feeling similar. We'll talk about those at the end. I love this Breaching Whale for the King of Water so much. I'm guessing that's a blue whale. And I love a stag for King of Earth. That really works. I have no idea what kind of bird this is. Anybody help me? I love this like black fluff of feathers around its head, and it's very regal. It almost looks like it's in a tuxedo. It does feel very like I feel King of Air energy from this, and I really feel King of Fire energy from that. Oh, I love both of those so much. Oh, okay, there's a guidebook, yo. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna grab my phone from wherever it might be. Okay, I'm gonna scan the guidebook, and we're gonna take a look at some of the cards I wasn't as sure about. Starting with, I want to know what bird this is, and maybe I can give you some ideas of how the entries read. So let's take a look. Uh-oh. Okay, so it does not tell us what this is. It just says the King of Air, so it has keywords: upright, mental strength, intellectual prowess, authority. Reversed is abuse of power, manipulation, cruelty, and tyranny. And then it says the King of Air is a wise king who governs with a combination of keen intellect and vast amount of knowledge. He's a disciplined leader who values intelligence above all, comes up in your reading to remind you that by following reasoning, you will arrive at the most sensible conclusion. This card also signifies that you are in the moment of peak mental acumen. Get on with any tasks that require the use of logic before a fatigue occurs. So we don't actually get animal identification in the guidebook. That's a bummer. Okay, let's see what it says about some of the cards that I had issues with. So let me put this aside. Okay, so the Knight of Water. Let's see about the Nine of Air. This is just more a positional thing. So let's see if it gives me anything here in the Nine of Air. It just says, in the corner of our mind is a dark place where ominous wind blows, a place of fear and hopelessness. It goes on to explain the card. Okay, so the guidebook is no help in this case, I would say, with like describing. It doesn't describe the imagery, and it also doesn't tell us what is happening in the card. Well, that's the same thing. And it doesn't tell us what animal is on the card. So let's look at the cards that I had some issues with, which is really quite a small pile, all things considered. The Knight of Water, I feel like it feels like it could be a Two of Cups card or a Lover's card. There's this like embrace, going on, but they're not going somewhere, right? So I am missing that. This one, I just don't know what animal that is, and I'm not getting fear, anxiety, or sleeplessness. The Seven of Water, I'm not getting any decision-making really happening besides like what planet to focus. I don't know. This one just feels funny to me. The Six of Air, this works. They're definitely leaving something, but there's no sign of anything that they've left that's difficult, or I don't know. It feels a little bit too something, like too simple. Same thing with the Six of Water. So the sixes didn't really hit it for me very well. The Three of Fire, it works visually, like it's a similar composition or scene to the Rider-Waite, but in the Rider-Waite-Smith, you'd see the ships or something. So you've got that bit of symbology, whereas here we have a bird. So I don't know how I feel about that one. The Two of Earth, this kind of works, but we usually get this kind of juggling vibe or this idea of like precariousness or balancing things, and I'm not getting that from this image. The World, this is just maybe too simple for me. It works, but I would prefer to see round, like just for the sake of seeing that sort of cycle. I mean, there's still a cycle in a lemniscate, of course, but this Judgment was probably the one I had the most difficulty with because I don't see a scenario in which this really represents rising up. Temperance, this works from the land sky perspective, but I don't know. The Wheel of Fortune, I mean, it's pretty, but rainbows don't feel like they represent cycles like that to me. And Justice is, oh, like I can make a case for Justice, but it almost feels a little bit like with the feather, maybe it's just bringing me back to that sort of like weighing the heart next to a feather, that sort of idea. So these are the cards that I had difficulty with. These ones I didn't. So overall, I think that it works. But let's talk about the pairs that I struggled with. So the two queens, the Queen of Water and the Queen of Earth, these felt like they were basically showing the same kind of meaning. And I felt the same way with the 10 of Earth and the 10 of Water. And with so these both show families, right? And then with the 4 of Earth and the 6 of Earth, there's this little chipmunk or squirrel. It wants some of the fruit, but she still seems to be holding it close. If she was handing one of these pieces of fruit to this critter, I think it would work a lot better. But instead, it's almost like she's actually holding it away tighter than the squirrel is, you know? And then for the Lovers and the Two of Cups, these just feel like they're both showing the same thing. And the same thing for the 5 of Swords and the 5 of Wands. With the 5 of Swords, I'd want to see one clear victor. I can make a case for the fact that this one on top seems to be winning over all of these other birds. So technically, I can see the 5 of Air better there. I don't mind the cats. It's just that these two scenes feel too similar for me. So those were sort of my sticking points. Let's just zoom out. So not bad. Let's see how it shuffles. I think the thing for me is I have a lot of animal tarot decks, and I prefer animal tarot that are going to tell me what's on the cards because my animal identification isn't great. I think I did fine, but there's a couple in there like that 9 of Air. I still don't know what that is. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me in the comments, but I don't want to have to work that hard for it. And I do prefer, if we're going to have a guidebook, that the guidebook tell me a little bit about the artistic choices in the cards. If you're going to follow the Rider-Waite-Smith pretty closely, I don't think I care. And for what it's worth, the healing waves may have the exact same issue, and I just overlook it because I like the theme, you know. But I remember feeling like all of these cards made sense to me and like showed what was happening really well. Yeah, I don't remember having that same issue with this deck. So I think for me, my Healing Wave still does a better job than the Wild Child Tarot does. But in fairness, it was a very small percentage of the cards that didn't quite work for me. So let's take a look now at the Oracle deck. Now, of course, this Oracle should look really great next to my Healing Waves, so or the Wild Child Tarot. I love that this backing looks like wood. So also a nice sturdy box with that rose petally finish. Now this one has a guidebook in it. And what I'm going to do this time, oh, they're oval cards. I forgot. Okay, they're oval cards. Okay. Oh yeah, I looked at these meanings before. I took a quick flip through of this. And I think I like how this is written. But interestingly enough, it does look like it kind of addresses the artwork. So this looks like it might be more on point as far as like talking about what's happening in the art. Now this is a really nice sturdy box that like holds this little oval deck perfectly. And it's edged in this really nice sagey green. The backing is the same as what you see on the back of the box. So that's really lovely. And this feels, it's a bit of a stretch, but it's not a terribly thick deck, so I think that wouldn't be a problem. So like before, I'm going to zoom us in and we'll go card by card and see what we think. So we start off with air, and we have this figure that's literally made up of sky in a way, and there's all these butterflies that look like they're kind of flying in and out of this figure, which is super cool. Amber with this sort of stuckness. I'm curious. I'm going to pull into the guidebook. I'm just curious if like the meaning sort of makes sense of the artwork. You know what I mean? So for Amber, something is best admired at a certain distance. Huh. Memories locked down deep in amber. Belongings that can't be touched nor altered. Though we may yet to find ourselves a new reminder in those old lessons. Their relevance is long gone. Messages from past lives. Legacies forlorn. Destined to exist eternally and constantly out of reach to fathom. I think it's meant to be like a poem. but it almost felt a little awkward to me to read. That's just personal taste, right? Poetry is very personal. Then we have ardor. Passion is a dangerous delight, the inner fire, the font of power. It is a fate worse than death to have such flame extinguished. Interesting. Keep it brightly lit, hold it with respect. Yeah, so these are all poems. Okay, I'm going to put the guidebook away so I don't interpret it with that in mind. I would probably read amber as something that's sort of like locked down and stuck. There's an element of time and non-moving here. Ardor, sort of passion and fire. Beehive, I would feel this as structure and work probably. But I wish there were keywords rather than titles. You guys know how I feel about that though. Bloom. I think that's really lovely. I think that works as a keyword too. Crescent. So I don't know what the intended meaning here is. This is why I like keywords. Uh-oh. Bloom. Okay. Okay, yeah, crescent. At its heart, the moon always remains whole, and crescent is but one facet of it, occasionally eclipsed by a mere shadow. But firm on its course, the moon transmutes itself from one phase to the others. Sliver of light shall turn full once again. This is precisely the nature of the moon, waxing and waning, constantly in motion, unfettered by any demand, waxing and waning for eternity. I don't know about that one. Crossroads, that's very easy to read. Cocoon stage, also very easy to read. Love that. Cosmic child. This one, not sure. Currents, being sort of swept up in it. I can understand that. And decay also. This is beautiful. I love this artwork. Desolate, also great as a keyword. Echo, that's interesting. What does it say? One voice ripples off. I'm not reading the whole thing. One voice ripples off across the plain like a drop of water into the ocean, and from that single pale whisper come blooming many distorted howls, indistinct echoes which can only repeat. Its true meaning is lost amidst the field of dancing wind. So I think, I don't know, would I read that as, intuitively, I would read that as maybe getting some distorted messages? I don't know. Ephemeral feels like fleeting, right? And I think we have a fly here, and they live so short, right? Life is fleeting. That's kind of what I get from that. Fruit of knowledge. There's that sort of Eden reference here. Flight. Could speak to freedom and letting things go. Flow. I love flow as a keyword. Ooh, fog. Those are unicorns in the fog, it looks like to me. That's beautiful. Gentleness. I like that word. Glimpse. Blink and you miss it. That feels a little bit like ephemeral in meaning to me, but I really love that. Idleness. Time to wait and be still. Inner garden. I love this. Labyrinth. Light. Mirage. This works. Mirage is a good keyword to work with. Nest. This speaks of security and home. Opportunity. So some of these work really well, I feel like. Rainbow. This is a little too open-ended for me. Reach. Reaching for the sun. Reflection. That's a little too literal, I think, for me. Just sharing my own thoughts. Reverie. This feels like dream state or daydreaming. Root. I love that. I will say this, like, it's that slight rose petal-y. It's like you're not sure if you're grabbing one card or two cards at first. Root. Shadow. Looks like it's the wolf, but it's the hand shape. Shelter. That works. Slumber. The tree remembers. That's lovely. Thorn. Like brambles. Trove. I have my treasures. This has got a Four of Pentacles-y feel. Vision. That could be a unicorn. I may have said that already. And there's our spider with weave. I don't know. I feel like I'm landing in a sort of solid middling place. Now, I know that the decks that are at Tevada, let me just zoom back out again. The decks that are at Tevada are pretty high priced. They all seem to be high priced, and the Wild Child Tarot and Oracle are among the higher priced on that list, right? Every deck that I've ordered from there has been higher, and I wonder how much of that is just something to do with where the decks and their artists are located. I don't know. But that being said, the quality here is really lovely. The guidebook feels nice. It's just, you get these like little poems for each one. Like I'm kind of in the middle on these. The artwork is really beautiful, but this isn't grabbing me in the way that I think I had hoped that it would. Now, this is also very, very subjective. This art is really beautiful. And I wonder how much of my feelings on this are affected by the fact that I just love the Healing Waves so much. And the oval shape is really nice. The cardstock's really nice. The spider card is actually less disturbing to me than the devil card in the tarot. So that works out okay for me, I think. I wasn't sure. I thought the spider was maybe going to be the deal breaker. But let's see how these like longer oval cards shuffle. So let's see. Okay. All right. That actually was pretty easy. They've got a nice bend to them. So that feels good. Let's see how they fan. Yeah, see, they're rose petally, but they fan so beautifully. They don't clump up like a lot of rose petally cards do. Let's just see if I can do, like, what would I get for, like, an energy obstacle advice? Oops. They're kind of difficult to hand over hand, like, that way, because they're just a little too long. This way works okay. So let's see. Energy obstacle advice. Let's just do a sample. Energy obstacle advice. What we'll do is we'll layer it. We'll do 3 oracle, and then we'll do 3 tarot on top, and we'll put it all together. How's that sound? I say that as if you can respond. Okay, so energy, obstacle. Let's just move this over, and advice. Okay, let's just do this purely intuitively here, and let's grab the tarot. And we'll layer these on top. So, oops. It's energy, obstacle advice. Can't remember if I shuffled these. Did I shuffle them? I think I did. Okay, anyways. Energy. We'll put that there. Obstacle. And advice. So let's just see what I have here. So for energy, we have the Page of Fire with currents. This feels like spontaneity and like going with the flow to me overall. So that's the general energy we're working with. The obstacle is the 3 of Water and ephemeral. This really feels like taking the time to have fun, to enjoy the adventure, to enjoy the flow, the spontaneity, but recognizing that it's not going to last forever. So soak it up while you can is kind of what that feels like. As far as an obstacle, it's the time that seems to be the biggest barrier. But then the advice is the echo and death. This feels a little bit like be okay with the end of it. Be okay with the fact that you might have a little bit of fleeting joy, a little bit of a brief moment of play before it's all over. It doesn't have to be the end. In fact, this all feels very much like just let yourself have that little adventure. Let yourself have that little moment. So it works. It definitely works. I'm not getting quite as much from the oracle as I was hoping, though. I feel like partly I was kind of pinning my hopes on the oracle because I wanted it to pair with the Healing Waves. Well, let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. So let's do, let's see, within, without advice. Okay. What's going on within? Okay, what's going on without? And what's the advice? Okay, the tree remembers. Interesting. Okay, so let's pair this with the Healing Waves. Within, without advice. This one seems stickier than the Wild Child does, weirdly. Okay, so we have within, the Magician, and decay is what we have here. Without, we have gentleness. Oops, I pulled 2. Gentleness with the 2 of earth. And then advice is the tree remembers and Page of Fire again. That's interesting. That Page of Fire is kind of like real active in these sample readings. So decay and the Magician. Interesting. Be careful what you're manifesting, because it feels like these two combined kind of feels like what you're manifesting. Maybe it's about letting, ooh, I like this. This feels like alchemy to me. Like letting what is or was, letting it fall by the wayside, letting it sort of turn back to the earth, and then using that earth to build something new. This feels like what's going on inside is that we're sort of in the process of alchemizing experiences or something in our life and sort of turning it into compost to nurture something new or to build something new, manifest something new. The without is gentleness in the two of earth. This feels like, see, this does have that juggling energy in the two of earth, right? Anyways, this feels very much like being a little bit easy on ourselves as far as what we're holding ourselves to expectation wise, like maybe not overworking, being mindful of like life balance, not overextending ourselves in any one direction. And then advice here is the Page of Fire and the Tree Remembers. This one isn't hitting properly for me, but we'll say Page of Fire to me is about going on an adventure, being open to new ideas or experiences, maybe is a better way to put it. Being open to new experiences, play, and the Tree Remembers. Let's see what the guidebook says about that card and see if that helps me out here at all. Oh. All wounds healed with subtle marks. Okay, so that jumped out at me from the guidebook. So I'll say that the Tree Remembers, it's kind of like everything you've been through, every past experience doesn't have to stop you from embracing new adventures and new experiences with a lot of gusto. I think these are beautiful. This is where it gets really subjective. When I'm working with a tarot deck that's got animals, I really, because I'm not great at animal identification, I want some information in the guidebook about what animal is on each card, because the animals are sort of taking center stage. I want to know what they are, what their energy is like, how to interact with them in the deck, and this is missing that piece for me. So that was a little bit of a bummer because I was hoping for more in that way. But if it's a real strict like Rider-Waite clone, I don't always need that. And I feel like that this worked as a pretty good Rider-Waite clone through most of it. I think you can really easily see the Rider-Waite meaning. There was those double cards that I had some questions about or some issues with. And then there was the few cards that I just couldn't quite reconcile with how I see the card. But again, that can be subjective. The Oracle deck, I think my biggest issue is that some of these feel like keywords like decay and gentleness. And some of them feel too much like titles, like the Tree Remembers. Can I make a case for this? Absolutely. But I think if I'm looking through the cards, let's just see. A lot of them feel like keywords, and then some of them, like this feels like a title, but I understand how to read it right away. That's a keyword. That's a title. That's a title, but it's still keyword. Slumber. I guess this is like rest. I'm going to put it over here. Beehive. This is title, but I know how to read it intuitively, I guess. Rainbow was an iffy. I guess this works. Amber was kind of Idleness. Trove. Reach. Air. I'm going to put that here, actually. Vision. Root, I think, can totally be a keyword. Fog. Echo, I really struggled with. Ephemeral works really well, I think, for a keyword. Currents works pretty well. Light, I would say, goes over there. Desolate. Glimpse, I think, worked really well. Nest works there. Shadow. Weave. I'm going to put that over here, actually. Ardor, that's a good keyword. Fruit of Knowledge, it's going to go over there. Cosmic Child. Reflection. Flight. Inner Garden, I think, goes there. Mirage goes there. Crescent definitely goes over here. That goes Cocoon Stage, and Reverie will go here. Okay, so here's how I'm kind of seeing this. So these cards are ones where the keyword or what's on the card feels like it's expansive and I can work with it intuitively really easily. Like I know what a Cocoon Stage is and how to apply that to a variety of subjects. Same thing with Ardor. Glimpse, something is fleeting or quick. Same thing with Ephemeral, though that also feels fleeting. So these two kind of feel like they have a similar meaning. Desolate, I can definitely work with that intuitively. Root, that feels like you might need to ground or get stable. Reach, you might need to reach up. So I feel like root down to reach up, those work really well together, actually. Idleness can work really well as a keyword. Opportunity. Bloom, same thing. I feel like this is an opportunity to expand or to grow. Flow works well. Gentleness works well. And decay works well. In the middle here are cards where I feel like they're more of a title. The Reverie probably is a keyword. It's just one maybe I'm going to be fair and put it over there. The rest of these feel like titles, but ones where I feel like they're evocative enough that I can kind of make them work intuitively. Like Mirage, we know that we're seeing something that's probably not really there. Inner Garden, this feels like the inner bounty within us that we can work with. Same thing with Shadow. This is like the opposite of Inner Gardens. We have those things that like really flourish within us, and then Shadow is those things we relegate to shadow. Now that's because I have an understanding of this meaning, but this could also be around things not being as they seem. So these work even though they're titles. Nest works really well because nests make us think, I think, of cozy and home and safety. Currents, same thing. It's just telling us what's on the card. It's currents in the water, but currents can be like being buffeted around, like being caught up in the flow of things, like maybe, you know, similar to flow. Same thing with fog. I feel like with the artwork, it's pretty clear that there's obscurity here. We're maybe not seeing things exactly like as they are, which is similar to Mirage. So there's some obscurity in both of these, but they're different. They're just, you know, Trove is like treasure, so I can kind of work with that intuitively. Labyrinth, I can work with that. Beehive, I feel like I've got a lot of associations with that. Crossroads, Shelter, and Thorn, same thing. I feel like the artwork and the meaning gives me a lot to work with. And then there's this last category of cards, which is the ones where I feel like I'd have to look them up or really pause to think about it. So Crescent, let me move these ones out of the way. So Crescent is like, I don't really know what it's getting at. It could be cycles maybe, I don't know. Flight, I can make a case for this. Like, is it about freedom? That's the only thing that's coming to mind right now. Reflection, is this meant to be literal? Like, this is the reflection here is darker than the swan up here. Like, I'm not entirely sure what it's saying because it's just telling me what's on the card. It could be reflection as in like it's time to reflect, but it doesn't feel like that because of the artwork. It feels too literal. This could be how my brain works and nothing to do with the card or the intention or anything. Cosmic Child, I just don't know what that's supposed to mean. Maybe you're part of the universe, I guess. Fruit of Knowledge, there's a lot to riff on here if you're familiar with the Adam and Eve myth, I feel like, but at the same time, it's kind of specific. Weave, I can work with this, but weaving is a physical activity. It's not like something like create, or I don't know what keyword I would use for that, but I'm not sure. Light, same thing here. I don't know what the message is or what the guidance would be here. Echo I struggled with, you saw that. Vision I think really works. It's about seeing clearly, I think, but I don't know. Air, it's a beautiful, these are all beautiful. I should say that about all of them. All the artwork is gorgeous. I'm just trying to figure out how it would work for me as a deck. Air, if there was all the other elements, I feel like I could have that elemental sort of set to work with, but I don't have the other elements, so I don't know what this is trying to tell me. Amber, you saw me kind of go back and forth between what the kind of guidebook said and what I would get out of that, but I can work with it for sure. I could have technically put it in the Thorn pile probably, but Rainbow, I don't know what the point of the card is. I don't know what it's telling me, what the message is. Slumber, I don't know if that's about resting, taking time out, could be. And the Tree Remembers. I feel like with the guidebook, you could work with all of these cards for sure. Cycle was a struggle though, even reading the guidebook. So for me, it's about a third of the cards. Let's just see, actually it's almost exactly. So it's about a third of the cards are like really easy to work with. A third take just a little bit of stretching. And then the last third, I feel like I have to work harder than I would prefer. So that's kind of where the Wild Child Oracle sits for me. So that is my takeaway. But I have to say, I'm a huge fan of this artist's work. I think their art is gorgeous, and I'm so pleased that I have the Healing Waves Tarot. And perhaps if I didn't have this deck and hadn't done so much work with it, these would have just knocked my socks off. But I think because like I'm already bonded to, I already have a beautiful bit of her artwork. I think because I do really like this deck and I like the way that the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings show up in here, and I'm so enamored with the setting, I don't know, I just feel like this is the one for this artist for me. And I don't think anything else can quite hold a perfect candle up to it. But that's easy for me to say. I have this deck, and I know a lot of people have been interested in this deck and haven't been able to get it. So I don't know what to say about that. Just to say that this is my personal take on it, my personal experience. I'm really glad I have this. I'm not sure what the future of these decks in my collection are, so stay tuned. We will see. But I'm very grateful that I got a chance to take a look at them and show them with you. A lot of my takes and opinions are obviously going to be subjective. They're my opinions. But I would be really curious to hear what you think. So please let us know down in the comments below. What do you think of these decks? There was a few places where I kind of asked for feedback, like the Judgment card, for example, how you would interpret that. And maybe you disagree about the cards that I struggled with a little, or that I felt were too samey. I would love to hear your feedback on that sort of stuff, because that will help other people who find this video to, and are maybe considering these decks, to see other perspectives besides just mine. And maybe look at some other walkthroughs also if you're considering getting these, and see if you can see some contrasting opinions and thoughts and see where you land. But this was my experience. These were my first impressions. I will, of course, keep you posted about any work that I do with either of these. So keep an eye on my show and tells for updates about any work I might do with them. An extra big thank you, of course, goes out to my unicorn fam for being supporters here of the channel. It means so much. And to all of you taking the time to watch my videos, I really genuinely appreciate you. Thank you for spending your time here. And until next time, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye.